And our producer, Gary Zabransky, sent me this story. It appeared on the CNN website. Everyone's reading the CNN website during the Democratic convention. So while you're there, you run into some of the other stuff that's there. And this is something that was reproduced from, hold on to your hat, Oprah.com. This is written by someone named Ellen Teen. She writes, I contemplate divorce every day. It tugs on my sleeve each morning when my husband Will greets me in his chipper, smug, morning person voice. Because after 16 years of waking up together, he still hasn't quite pieced out that I'm not that viable before 10 a.m. It puts two hands on my forehead and mercilessly presses when he blurts out the exact wrong thing, such as, are you excited for your surprise party next Tuesday? When he lies to avoid the fight, what do you mean I left our apartment door open? I never even knew our apartment had a door. When he buttons his shirt and jacket into the wrong buttonholes, collars and seams unaligned like a vertical game of dominoes, with possibly a scrap of shirt tail zippered into his fly. It flicks me hard just under the eye when, during a parent-teacher conference, he raises his arm high in the air, scratches his armpit, and then absently smells his fingers. By the way, Will, are you still married to her? Just curious. Says here it slammed into me like a 4,000-pound Volvo station wagon one spring evening 4 years ago, although I remember it as if it were last year. He had dropped me off in front of a restaurant prior to finding a parking spot. As I crossed in front of the car, he pulled forward, happily smiling back over his left shoulder at some random fascinating bit. A sign with an interesting font, a new scaffolding, a diner that he may or may not have eaten at the week after he graduated from college, and plowed into me. The impact, while not wondrous enough to break bodies 12 ways, was sufficient to bounce me sidewise onto the hood, legs waving in the air like antennae, skirt flung somewhere up around my ears. For one whole second, New York City stood stock still and looked at my underwear. As I pounded the windshield with my fist and shouted, Will, stop the car. He finally faced forward, blink, 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 trying, yes, truly trying to take it all in. And I heard him ask with mild astonishment, very faintly because windshield glass is surprisingly thick, what are you doing here? In retrospect, it was an excellent question, a question that I've asked myself from altar to present, both incessantly and occasionally. What am I doing here? Don't misunderstand. I would not, could not disparage my marriage. After 192 months, she just did disparage her marriage. After 192 months, Will and I remain, if not happily married, then steadily so. Our marital state is Indiana, say, or Connecticut. Some red areas, more blue. Less than bliss, better than disaster. We are arguably, to my widest range of reference, every couple. Nor is Will the very bad man that I've made him out to be. Rather, like every other male I know, he is merely a moderately bad man. The kind of man who will leave his longboat-sized shoes directly in the floor of our home's traffic so that one day I'll trip over them, break my neck, and die. After which he'll walk home from the morgue, grief-stricken, take off his shoes, and with a heavy heart leave them in the center of the room until they kill the housekeeper. Every man. Still beneath the thumpingly ordinary nature of our marriage, every marriage, runs the silent chyron of divorce. It's the scarlet concept, the closely held contemplation of nearly every woman I know who has children who have been out of diapers for at least 2 years and a husband who won't be in them for another 30. It's the secret reverie of a demographic that freely discusses postpartum depression, eating disorders, and ambient dependence, often all in the same sentence, with the plain candor of golden brown toast. In a let it all hang out culture, this is the given that stays tucked in. Mind you, when I say midwife crisis, that's white, you crazy wabbit, midwife crisis, I mean the middle of married life kind, not the kind where you go to Yale to learn how to legally brandish a birthing stool. As one girlfriend remarked, it's the age of rage, a period of high irritation that lasts roughly 1 to 2 decades. As a colleague emailed me, it's the simmering underbelly of resentment. The 600-pound mosquito in the room. At a juncture where we thought we should have unearthed some modicum of certainty, we are turning into the Clash. If I go, will there be trouble? If I stay, will it be double? Should I stay or should I go? Our mothers knew better than to ponder such questions, at least not out loud in front of God and the hairdresser. They deliberately waited to reach the last straw until their children were grown and the house was paid for. At 25, they were ladies with lady clothes and lady hairdos, bona fide adults, the astronauts' wives. By 40, they were relics. But we with our 21st century access to youth, captured in a gleaming mason jar with a pink square of gingham rubber banded over the top. We are still visually tolerable, oh Jesus, if not downright irresistible when we're 30 or 35 or 40. And if you believe the fashion magazines, which, says the writer, I devoutly do, even 50 and 60-year-olds are, lick finger, touch to imaginary surface, make sizzle noise, pretty hot tickets. We are also tickets with jobs and disposable income. If we jump ship now, we're still attractive prospects who may have another shot at happiness. There's just that tricky wicket of determining whether eternal comfort resides in the tried and true or whether the untried will be truer. Our mothers, so old, too young, believed that marriage was the best they could get. We, the children of mothers who settled or were punished for not settling, wonder, is this as good as it gets? Our mothers feared being left alone. We crave time alone. Alone time is the new heroin. Darling, if you wanted to be alone, you didn't have to get married. Know what I'm saying? I've got plenty of alone time. Love it. The writer goes on to say, what are we doing here? We were groomed to think bigger and better. Achievement was our birthright, so it's small surprise that our marriages are more freighted. Marriage and its cruel cohort, fidelity, are a lot to expect from anyone, much less from swift-flying us. Would we agree to wear the same eyeshadow or eat in the same restaurant every day for a lifetime? Nay, cry the villagers. The echo answers nay. We believe in our superhood. We count on it. Again, darling, who insisted on getting married and having a monogamous relationship? Not a man. So did our feminist foremothers set us up for failure? Or were they just trying to empower us so that we wouldn't buy into the notion of having to be a better half? Either way, many of us semi-bought into it. As the tail end of the baby boomers, mavericks of Gen X, we still had one foot in the good girl pond. Or at least the wet footprints leading out of it. In the beginning, we felt obliged to join the race to have it all. Being married was an integral part of the contest, and heaven forfend we should be disqualified. Flash forward to 10 years later, when we discovered that we can get it all. But whose harebrained scheme was this anyway? We can get jobs, get pregnant, get it done. We can try with varying levels of success to get sleep, get fit, get controlled, and get those important me moments where one keeps a journal with thought-provoking lists that go, I'm a woman first, a mother second, a laundress third. We get upset, we get over it. What we don't always get is why. My high-powered, high-earning friend discovers that her magnificently indolent husband has been having an affair with a coworker. She threatens to give him the hee-ho, demurs when he demands that she pay the rent on his new apartment, and decides to work it out. For now. Why? A woman I know, the stay-at-home wife of a mogul, a really nice mogul with multiple houses, a jet, a chef, the whole pizza pie, throws it all over, packs up her 2 young children, and leaves him in search of greater satisfaction. Why? I watch in frustration as my son desperately tries to talk to Will, that's the husband of the writer, in case you forgot, through a newspaper or computer screen or whatever other large flat surfaces fathers place between themselves and filial communication. And yet I know in my heart that I would be mightily hard-pressed to remove this father from his son's house. Why? Reasons and rationalizations abound and rebound. It doesn't matter whether the infractions are big or small. At a certain point, we stop asking why and we start asking how. How did it come to this? How much longer can I go on? When there are no hows left, the jig is up. I recently stood by as a clothing designer. A mother in her 40s announced to a group of women that she was divorcing her husband. The women's faces flickered with curiosity, support, recognition, and, could it be, yearning. Not a one of us suggested that she try harder to make it work. No voice murmured, what a shame. Because it isn't a shame. Divorce is no longer the shame that spits stain upon womanly merit. Conventional wisdom decrees that marriage takes work, but it doesn't take work. It is work. It's a job. Intermittently fulfilling and annoying with not enough vacation days. Divorce is a job, too, with even fewer vacation days. It's a matter of weighing your options. A friend once compared the prospect of leaving her husband leaving her husband to leaving her child's private school. The school wasn't entirely to her liking, but her daughter was happy there. It wasn't what she'd expected, but applying to other schools involved a lot of costly, complicated paperwork and the nagging uncertainty of whether another school would accept her and or really be that much better. Another friend viewed divorce as being akin to an extended juice fast. You're intrigued but skeptical, admiring yet apprehensive. Is it dangerous? Does it work? You're not completely sold. But then again, you can envision yourself attempting it down the road. What this says to me, other than my friends sure do come up with awfully good metaphors, is that women don't view divorce as a scary, shadowy behemoth. It's an unpalatable yet manageable task like changing schools or extreme dieting that may or may not yield a better result. To be sure, there will be throngs of angry women who will decry me for plunging a stake into the heart of holy matrimony. My husband is my lifeline, I've heard said. And that's bad news for the aorta. My husband and I never fight as another marital chestnut. Again, bad news, not to mention a big fat lie, since according to the experts, the strongest relationships are the ones in which people can continually agree to disagree. Really? Count me out. My husband is my best friend, others will aver. No, your husband is not your best friend. Your best friend is your best friend. If your husband were your best friend, would that make your best friend the dog? What would that make your best friend the dog? When a woman tells me that her husband is the best friend, what I hear is, I don't really have any friends. But if self-delusion is your particular poison, well, that's just fine, too. Just make sure that when you phone your life order and you say, one self-delusion, please, as opposed to one perfect marriage. Fantasy, as we all know, doesn't deliver. Because in the end, that's basically what it's all about, getting your order right. One day comes down to choices, and it's finally dawning on the long-term wives of the world that divorce may be the last standing woman's right to choose. What about not getting married? Right, ladies? We can admit that our marriages aren't lambent, lyrical ice dancing routines and still decide to push on together to the final flying sit-spin. We also realize that divorce is an alternative that's fully within reach, be it now or later or never. The more readily we acknowledge the solid utility of marriage, as one friend's husband put it, where have you heard this quote before, by the way? I'm essentially a checkbook at a sperm bank, but I'm okay with that. Somebody's okay with that. That's wonderful. The more ably we can splinter the box of marital fantasy that makes us feel stuck, trapped, obliged. One eloquent swing of the axe, and happiness is thrust firmly back into our own hands. This is not to say that dismantling one's marriage will automatically bring happiness. It's the idealization of marriage that needs to be shredded, along with its accompanying bumper sticker, wives make better women. I haven't seen that one. If we stay because we decide to, not because our ankles and wrists have been locked into societal expectations. If after various efforts we finally leave, we have the confidence to be the leavers and not the left. Having choices is a cornerstone of strength. Choosers won't be beggars. Thinking about divorce is kind of like living in New York City with its museums and theater and culture, a doctor friend of mine said. You may never actually go to any of these places, but for some reason, just the idea that you could if you wanted to makes you feel better. Maybe one day marriage, like the human appendix, male nipples, or your pinky toes, will become a vestigial structure that will in a millennium or two be obsolete. Our great-great-great-grandchildren's grandchildren will ask each other in passing, remember marriage? What was its function again? Was it that maladaptive organ that intermittently produced gastrointestinal antigens and sometimes got so inflamed that it painfully erupted? Yes, it was. Until that day of obsolescence, we can confront the dilemma and consider the choice a privilege. Once upon a time is the stuff of fairy tales. As for happily ever after, see appendix. That is Ellen Teen. And attention, Will Teen. I'm assuming your last name is Teen. Maybe it isn't. You should probably use your maiden name. Will, the husband of this chick, if I were you, I'd get out today. The best defense is a good offense. Mr. Pussy, why would you stay with somebody who just eviscerated you and your marriage in a piece like that? Outrageous. Outrageous that a woman would complain about marriage like this because, let's face it, for the most part, it's women who expect marriage, women who want to get married, women who suggest marriage, women who hint at marriage, women who beg for marriage, women who cajole for marriage. It is women who give out ultimata. If you don't marry me, this is it. It's women who do this. Ladies, if this is how it's going to end up, you being miserable and taking money from us, just stop asking us to get married. Stop threatening us. Stop giving us an ultimatum. Stop. I am so tired of hearing women complain about their husbands, complain about their marriages. These are the years of rage. That's what this piece said. 10 to 20 years of your marriage are years of rage at your husband? Then why the F do you want to get married? Why? As much as I admire Oprah Winfrey as a businesswoman, this is the kind of crapola that passes for logic in the Oprah world and the world of the morons who watch. No doubt about it. What do you think about this?
1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
You really do not like women, do you?
I love women, as long as their breasts are in my face.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That is our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the program. We appreciate it. Okay. Big article on was originally Oprah.com with a woman complaining. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. She claims to be happily married, but there she is occasionally wishing she was divorced, thinking about being divorced. Oh, my God, shut up! You put a gun to your head to get married, lady? Please, anyone who doesn't want to get married, just let me know. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Stephen on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. Okay.
First of all, I want to let you know that my friend Nate Ingalls owns 7 plasma TVs inside of his house because of you.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
He must not be married.
I agree. I think that marriage these days are strictly to get married, get a divorce, sue for as much money as you can get, yada, yada, yada. But I also disagree that I'm 22, my parents are just about, one's 53 and my dad's just about 50. In their case, in their days, they actually had morals, you know? And they had the morals because they were old-fashioned from their parents' side.
No,
and they
that's not why. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
No?
No, I don't. I believe that today you have many more options. Back in the day, women didn't go to work, so they couldn't be flirting with colleagues. They couldn't be going to happy hour with the other people at the office. No going to Monday Night Football with everybody from the office.
God bless Monday Night Football.
In the days, back in the day, your mom or your grandmother didn't have email addresses or a Facebook account or a MySpace or 17 different email addresses or her own cell phone with her own phone number and her own voicemail with a passcode that nobody knew. I mean, that the people who cheat are the people who can.
Right. But at the same time, to this day, she still doesn't have any of those things because she's so old-fashioned. I mean, you could call her Stone Age. She doesn't know how to use a computer or anything.
How old is your mom by now?
She's 54.
How old?
Only 54 years old.
Only 54 years old. Well, I'm telling you, people who are 54 years old are much less likely to be using those things.
And I agree. It's because she has no friends.
Right.
You know? But the sad part is my dad doesn't have friends either, and I see on his side, you know, that he doesn't get to go out and do things, watch Monday Night Football with the boys, and that's why I'm like, I'll never get married as well, you know? But for my mom's sake, and they raised a family and till death do them part with their family. And they have those morals, and they're convinced that that's what they want in life, and they're showing it 23 years of marriage.
Well, we don't know until you're all grown up.
Yeah, true. I agree. I mean, things could change, but hopefully they don't, because I am thankful they're married. But I won't have kids, and I'm not going to get married because I see what they went through, and they've sacrificed putting me through college, buying me cars, lunch money that I, spent God knows what on, and I agree with you. It's a bad choice, but at the same exact time, I do believe that back in the day, before my parents, the generation before them, they had these morals coming out of World War II.
I don't. By the way, again, you didn't have any options.
Right, I agree, but that's because these morals were oppressed on you. And nowadays, morals are completely lost. I mean, there's more...
No, but the point is, people stayed loyal because they were afraid of getting caught.
Because it was looked down upon in society, are you saying?
No, because they were afraid of getting caught.
Caught what?
Cheating. Because the way it worked way back when was, first of all, if you committed adultery, it would affect whether you got any money out of your divorce. Yeah. So private investigators were hired to take pictures of your spouse, to follow them going in and out of hotels and motels and bars and wherever else they might go.
Right. That's actually new information to me, but now you say it makes perfect sense. But do you agree that, so you're saying there was no morals to start with? It was just fear? And...
I'm saying it had nothing to do with morals. I'm saying it had to do with the fact that society looked at you like a pariah.
Right.
I mean, now we find it fascinating. We love reading about people who cheat. We love reading about Paris Hilton and who she's with and what she's doing. And nowadays, women are scandalous, Women, going back to the book, The Bridges of Madison County and the movie, women think that's romantic. movie about a woman having an affair. Oh, it's so romantic. Meryl Streep's having an affair. Isn't that romantic? I mean, it's all different now.
Yeah, I agree. So what's the change? It's just the lack of fear, and it's not looked down upon in society, and there were no morals? Do I understand correctly or no?
What I'm saying is that back in the day, you were afraid of getting caught.
Right. Fear, no?
Yeah. Do you know when I was a kid, if someone in your high school got pregnant, they never told you. Right. If they got pregnant, they would suddenly say, well, you know, they would say, well, Gail has to go live with her aunt for a few months.
Right.
And then when Gail would come back, she didn't have a baby, and the baby was probably put up for adoption. Nobody knew what happened. Now you have girls getting pregnant, walking around with their pregnant guts hanging out of the lowrider jeans. They have the baby. The high school provides a daycare center for them.
Yeah, babies having babies. It's a problem.
No?
More than global warming, our problem is we're going to max out on our capacity in this world here.
Well, the bottom line here is that I really get upset when women are complaining about marriage. Because let's face it, who puts a gun to our head to get married in the first place?
Yeah. No, exactly. And the thing is, I question why they want to get married. Because, you know, I mean, I'm not going to drop any names, but I have friends right out of high school marrying fat, disgusting men that are just completely rich and get beaten and deal with it for the money because they have a Jaguar, you know? And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So honestly, 75% of the women are gold diggers.
Learn your lesson and get rich.
I'm not going to learn my lesson. I already learned it. Good. Take me out of the bong, Tom. I need to get back to work.
All right, Stephen, here you go. That's the kind of stuff that really gets me pissed. Really gets me upset. God damn it. They beg, they plead, they cajole, they harass, they harangue. It's unbelievable what they do. And then after all of that, then they write columns in the Oprah magazine, the Oprah website, about how terrible things are. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? You know what, ladies? If that's where you're going to end up, complaining about your lot in life, being married to a guy who doesn't know which soup spoon to use or doesn't have a button in his shirt, why bother us about getting married? Get a job, use artificial insemination, and be done with it. You know what I'm talking about? We'll take a break. We'll come back with more here on the Tom Leykis Show. Don't go anywhere.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Leykis.
In this day and age, for a man to get married, he's only looking to lose.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM. That is our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. And so here you have all these women like this one on the Oprah.com website who are complaining about marriage. Oh, yes, they are complaining. Boo-hoo-hoo. The husband pays all the bills, and he's faithful as far as we know. You're just tired of him, and you get angry at him because you've been with him for so long. Are there any people like this out there? I would love to hear from one. Someone who heard that article or read it and can relate to it. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's Monique on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. I just wanted to agree with you. Like, the chicks are so stupid. It kills me that this woman can sit here and complain that her husband smells his armpit or jokes about leaving the door open Yet, I bet you she didn't take the time to look at herself and think about all the stupid things she does that would piss him off. And probably didn't get married for the right things in the first place. I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it, actually. Marriage is for people who are religious. I understand, Tom, why you don't want to get married, because you don't believe in God, and that's perfectly acceptable for you. If you're not religious, don't get married. Unfortunately, it's a institution that was brought over from when the church and state weren't separated. But understand that not everybody has to get married. Everyone out there, you don't have to get married. It is not something that has to happen.
Nobody has to get married.
At all. Nobody. If you don't, the reason I'm getting married, and the reason why is because I know that I want to be a good wife. Not because I'm out there looking for a guy to, like you say, Tom, cast a role in my play or anything. I'm not looking for a husband. I just know that I'm doing things to be a good wife. And as long as you're focused on that, you'll be okay. It's just like, if you don't have to go to college to get a great job. You don't have to, but it's a lot easier if you go to college and have a great job. If you're not religious, it's going to make your marriage a hell of a lot harder. So don't do it if you haven't thought all about that.
Pisses me off. Pisses me off. The whole thing pisses me off. Thank you. I appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Here's Carrie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Great.
Good. Now, on the issue that you were talking about the women going out and working and then going to Monday Night Football and meeting up with, guys and things like that, I absolutely agree. I've been married for 15 years, and my husband chooses to keep me at home and not work for that specific reason, and I completely agree with him.
Because that's how so many of these marriages fall apart.
Absolutely. My husband he's the ruler of my house. What he says goes, what he wants goes whenever he wants it. And I think women just need to back off and just understand that men are men. And that's what they are. Shut up, quit nagging about it, and let them be what they are. If you just accept them for what they are, they're going to love you. They're going to love you that much more for just accepting them for what they are. I do what my husband tells me to do. And you know what? I am religious. I do believe in God, so.
Well, most people say they do, and yet 1 out of 2 marriages ends in divorce.
But that's not even in our vocabulary. The word divorce isn't in our vocabulary. It's just not. The agree to disagree thing, no. If I happen to have a thought in my head that I disagree with my husband on something that he says, I keep that to myself. I will keep that to myself, and I will outwardly agree with him and tell him, you're right, honey, I agree.
Well, I've done the math. 82% of Americans say they believe in God. 50% of marriages end in divorce. That means that 64% of the people who get divorced, minimum, are religious.
I don't think religious belief has anything to do with the divorce. I don't think the religious belief has anything to do with the divorce whatsoever. What has to do with the divorce is women not shutting their mouths. Them just not shutting their mouths. They just got to nag in their faces all the time and not just back up and say, yeah, you're right, honey. Like I said, I back them.
Yeah, that's been a big problem. Women don't know how to shut up.
Absolutely. They really don't know how to shut up, and they need to understand that, as far as the religious people go who believe in God, God created man first. we were second.
Oh, Carrie, thank you for that. It's Tony on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Pretty good, Tony.
I think, the person that I'm married to somewhat resembles the idiot who wrote that letter. And the metaphor is that in the beginning, I could have walked around smelling my armpits and acting like an idiot, and I was God. I couldn't have done anything wrong.
That's right.
And it seems like the richer I get, the better father that I am, the more committed to her versus my friends, the more I put her first, the more I forget about my own life, the more I'm replaceable. And in my own particular scenario, I mean, you just have never seen a young lady try so hard to get a man to stop his life and notice her. And it took 3 or 4 years. And I succumbed because I was very impressed with the commitment, and it felt good to be cared about that much or wanted that much. But after, about 10 years, I'm dealing with somebody who essentially wants to replace me in spite of the fact that we have some kids together because I don't make enough money. I don't pay every single bill. I can't afford a lifestyle. She is at a point in her life where she feels like she's ready to step up. She can go to the next level, trade me in and get a better car. And, I do believe in marriage. I think it can work for people who want to have family. But it's like having a lawn, If you want it to stay green, you got to water it. It takes work. And, it's just that, listening to that lady's message, it was just emasculating and debilitating. And I felt so bad for the guy that she's married to. And this is something that's happening in a lot of the friendships that I have.
Why would he be there for another minute?
Why would I?
No, the guy that she's writing about, the husband.
If I ever saw something like that written, I think I would be gone. In my case, I have some really amazing children, and I think that for me, I've always wanted to be a dad. It's the number one thing for me. That's my choice. But, I'm kind of fighting the fight right now. It's difficult. I do, love my wife for some reason still. And I'm fighting that fight, and I don't know whether I'm winning or losing, but there's going to be a point where the reckoning comes, and the truth is revealed. And, the bottom line is people with the type of value system that lady accentuated that note are just, there really is no pot at the end of the rainbow. They're never really going to be satisfied. They've created their own problems and want to sit there and complain about other people for just being them. It's ridiculous. And I see this at a really big level. I'm a 41-year-old guy. A lot of my friends who have wives that are provided for, nice houses, nice cars, nice neighborhoods, are dealing with this, just type of, they're just not good enough. These women deserve something better. It's, and it's really disheartening because I come from a community of great fathers, of good husbands, of guys who are not out screwing around, and this is the mindset, the section, the city, desperate.
By the way, this is the thanks you get for everything you've done.
Oh, exactly. I am dealing with a lot more than most of the people who love me want me to deal with, and mostly for the sake of the kids. But I believe that family is important, and I believe that you got to work on it. And I'm willing to put in some more time here, but you can only deal with it for so long before, you sit there and go, you need to be important. You need to care about simply because that person made that choice and is committed to it. Obviously people change, but in this particular way, it's absurd. You wanted it. You did everything you could to get it. You made a fool out of everybody, yourself, to get this. And now that it's here, you're sitting there saying to yourself, well, I deserve something better. I should have gotten more. I should be paid for. I should have somebody with more money. You're pathetic because you can't pay the bills. These are words these are things that I'm told. So, that letter really particularly was sickening. I felt sick to my stomach hearing it.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Tony. How many years have you been married?
Going on about 12.
So if you got a divorce now, you'd have to pay alimony for the rest of your life.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I would. I mean, I'm dealing with somebody who's making about double what I am now. Things have kind of changed. Our businesses have gone up and down, and, the scenario is a little bit different. I'm not sure how really it would work out.
Maybe she'd have to pay you alimony for the rest of your life.
Well, quite possibly. That may be the only reason why she's still here. I don't know. I'm working to find out what that truth is. And, the messages are mixed. And like I said, the real thing for me is my 3 amazing kids. And I want to keep it. I don't want to break the family unless I really feel like there isn't any hope. And sometimes there is a lot of hope, even when it does take a lot of patience. And if you decided to be married, and I have to live with that choice that I made. So I have to put in some effort. I'm not just going to pack my bags because I don't think that's fair. But I am smart enough to understand that if I keep driving into that brick wall and it doesn't give, that I know, that there's a better place for me to be, and I'll be a much better man and father in a world where I'm appreciated, not, beaten down like a dog because I just can't be good enough. I'm all of a sudden I'm not what was expected. It's not what she wanted, and it's, I'm committed for my children, but, there comes a time when men really have to listen to the signs and be honest with themselves. I don't think I'd ever get married again. I don't think you could pay me enough. Even if it meant inheriting millions, I think I'd rather have the time to myself because I think I'm better to people around me and definitely happier.
I hope the guys are hearing that, those who are thinking about getting married. I hope they're hearing what you say, Tom. Because it's painful. It's painful. No matter what you do, that's the thanks you get. Our email address, tom@blowmeuptom.com.
The Tom Leykis Show.